Hey everyone, it's Anna. Welcome back to my channel. Thanks so much for visiting, and hello to all my new subscribers. Welcome to the channel. Thank you so much for joining. So Kelly in Idaho posted a comment on Instagram, I think, wanting to know if I could show how I watercolor Charming, the snowman. So I thought I would pull him out and do a video for you guys. But before I show painting him, I thought I would just share some of the cards so that you can see the watercoloring that I've done on him in the past. So there's this card here. He was stamped on a watercolor panel. I think it's B watercolor paper. It's the pad you can get at even at Walmart. So it's the B paper company. But he's stamped on that, and you can see that he has lots of beautiful colors. And I don't know, I wish you could see the sparkle. Oh my gosh, I wish you could see the sparkle. But he has beautiful colors in him, and his suspenders are gold. His nose is gold, and he's just one handsome fellow. This one actually was colored with alcohol markers and colored pencil. So we can do that technique a different day maybe. But here's another one that was watercolored. Again, I used the same B Paper Company watercolor paper. You can see he has brown suspenders instead of gold suspenders. So there's that guy. This guy was also watercolored. He again has gold suspenders and a gold nose. And he has beautiful brown buttons, which you know I love. And he also is stamped on watercolor paper. And to do my stamping, I use this VersaFine Clair Nocturne black ink. And it works beautifully. And so there's that fellow. This guy also stamped on B watercolor paper and painted with watercolors. This one I did metallic on the stars, but everything else is just flat watercolor paint. So there's that guy. Oh, look, another one that was stamped on watercolor paper and painted. Can you tell it's one of my favorite techniques? And then this guy got splattered with lots of gold watercolor paint as well. The metallic set that I'm always using, I don't see it sitting here. No, I don't see it. But it's the metallic watercolor paint I'm always sharing. So you can see the gold splattered across the panel. So fun. But also the same B watercolor paper. And then here is another card where I watercolored him as well. Again on B watercolor paper. Stamped in the VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink. All of these were. And painted with my watercolor paints. So, and oh, he has copper buttons too. So very, very cool. So let me show you the technique that I like to use. Oh, here's another guy, but he was colored with alcohol markers and colored pencil to get that swirly detail in the background. That was a colored pencil. So, isn't he cute? I love the buttons stamped on the cardstock in the back. This was one of my dies from Impression Obsession. I'm hoping to be able to bring back some of my dies in the near future, so stay tuned for that. But this was one of my rectangle frame dies. So, but on with the snowman. So I already have him stamped in VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink on B watercolor paper. And so what I'm going to start with first is finding a piece of paper that you can see. There we go. Because I have all kinds of secret stuff in here now. I do have some clean water here. So you'll always want to have nice, fresh, clean water when you're watercoloring. And I like to use this little tiny brush. This is a, what is this? A number 0 snap brush from Princeton. And it's a synthetic brush. And then I also like to use this one. This is a number 2, I believe. Yeah, this is a number 2 snap brush from Princeton. And then this one is a number 4. So these are really, really great brushes. So I use them almost exclusively now. And then I also have been using my Pretty Excellent watercolors. There's this one, and then there's the one that has the extra row of shimmer or metallic watercolor pigments in it, but I'll just use this one today since it's right here handy. let me get these cards out of the way. All right, so the first thing I like to do is using my Vintage Photo Distress ink. I like to give my watercolor paper just a little bit of ink. And I like doing this because as a reactive ink, a water reactive ink, it can mix and mingle with the watercolors as I paint and can really bring out, let me show you an example. Like here, where I painted his pants like a blue and green color, the brown that you see in there is the distress ink activating with the paint. So I like doing this technique because it can give you sometimes some unexpected results and just add a little variety to your project. So I just give him a quick rundown with some Vintage Photo Distress ink. And again, this is a water reactive ink, so that's why I like it. And then I'm going to use my Zero paintbrush. And I usually have enough paint in my palette that I don't usually have to pick up much paint, but I don't today. So I'm going to pick up just a little bit of this blue. This is probably a Payne's Gray blue, but it's a little on the bluer side, so it's closer to like an indigo, but still beautiful, beautiful color. And then I'm going to also pick up a little bit of maybe this olive right here. And kind of get that, yeah, see, that's a fun color. So that's the paint I'm going to use. And then just to show you how to paint his overalls here, let me zoom in a little. So just add color. And you can add just water because the ink that you've added to the cardstock already or to the watercolor paper already is also going to activate. And see how you don't even really need to add much more paint than what I've added here. And you get a really fun result. And so here's the first layer. And you can add more if you'd like, more pigment. Maybe I want a little bit of blue in there. So you can come in and add the blue. You can do it after it dries or before it dries if you want it to blend together a little bit more. If you do it after it dries, you might get some hard edges. And to avoid that, you can just go over the entire area again really lightly with a damp brush. So there you can see how just by adding that little bit of watercolor paint and that distress ink gave his pants a worn vintage, like he's been outside all fall and winter look to him. All right, so I'm going to move on to the next color that I want to paint. I'm going to skip this area and make sure that I don't paint right next to it, because if I paint right next to it, I might get my colors to bleed into each other. So to just keep that from happening, I'm going to go up here and paint his hat. So I'm going to use a really, really dark brown. So first I'm going to pull in just a smidge of black. This is a black pigment there. And right next to it is a really nice dark brown. So I'm just going to use this really, really dark brown color. You can see it just does not take very much paint to paint these nice stamped images. So and I'm so excited that those of you who ordered Charming and Cozy Wishes, most of you have received your stamps by now. And I'm so enjoying seeing you guys opening them and sharing, and can't wait to see what you guys make with them. Some of you have already posted projects, which is so fun. And those of you who are interested in getting him or Cozy Wishes or even Raggedy Bunny, they'll be in at the end of this week or early next week. I'll have them back in stock. So just be patient. But there we go. I still want to provide inspiration for you guys though. So I'm happy to do this type of share with you. And give those of you that do have the stamps or other snowman stamps inspiration to use your stuff. So there you can see I've painted his hat. I think I want it a little darker black. So I'm going to add just a smidge more black here. brim here. There we go. All right, so now I'm also going to color his buttons brown, but I'm going to wait until I've done his body. That way, if I go over the buttons with a little bit with his body color, the brown paint will be darker and it will cover up any oopsies that I make. So now I'm going to actually paint his body. I'm going to start down here with his body since now this is mostly dry. And then when I get done with his body, I can come back up here and paint his face. So I'm going to use just a really, really light blue, just basically using something that I have on my palette that's really, really light. Just a touch of color. And I'm going to add that to the side of his face. I always like to put the darkest side of my characters' faces on the left, as if the sun is coming in from their the right side. Just have it, I guess. And he would have a little bit of shadow under his nose. So I'll add a little bit more pigment there under his nose. And then I'm going to add just a smidge more along the side of his face here. And where the hat would cast a shadow on the top side of his face. So there's his face. Now we can move on to the body. Same thing, I'm just going to be using just this really thin blue paint here. Just to add a little bit of color. We don't need a whole bunch of color because remember the distress ink that we've added is also going to activate and pick up and add color as we paint too. And our snowman is, you know, probably supposed to be mostly white. We just want to give it the hint of color to not leave it plain, but still give the impression that he is made of snow. So there we got that. And before this dries, I'm going to add just a smidge of purple. And it doesn't have to be much. Let's see. See this purple here in my palette? It doesn't have to be much. I used to always dip into the paint pan first thing, and I would struggle because my paintbrush would get loaded with paint, and then, you know, I would get frustrated because once you put paint down, it's hard to remove it. So by starting with really, really light colors, you can always add more. And that's why I like painting out of the leftover paint in my palette lid, because it's always just enough. And if I need to add a little more, I can, but it doesn't tend to overwhelm my painting so fast. And that's also why I never clean my paint palette, because those pigments can be re-wet and reused. And I'm adding just a little bit of purple up here too. And under the hat and down under his nose just a little bit. And I might even come back in here once this dries and add just a smidge more color if I want a little bit darker. So I'm going to clean my brush. And I think now I'm going to paint his arms. And I'm going to paint his arms just brown. So just grabbing a little bit of paint. I'm going to be careful not to touch his belly because I know this paint could potentially bleed into his belly. So there's one arm. And here's two. I think I'll also do his buttons brown too. And get a layer on there. I like that he has 3 different styles of buttons. And this one too, don't forget that one. All right. So there's his buttons. And let's see, I think I'll paint his hat band next. I'm going to paint his hat band olive green. So if you're using this same paint set, it is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th one in from the left-hand side. I really like this olive color. See how much paint got on my brush? I should have touched the palette first. That's right. And then paint up here. And then paint the other portion of his scarf that's over here too. And then this little piece behind the button, don't forget that. It comes around his neck and tucks in behind the button there. He's so cute. I just love him. I think I'll do his hatband the same olive green color. Put a little bit of paint up here. So easy. That's why I like watercoloring, because it's just so quick and easy. Doesn't have to be difficult. And I like all the variety that the pigments give when you paint. And then I'm going to paint his orange, his nose like a pumpkin orange, a dark orange. I've got a little bit of orange up here. I probably mixed this orange here with a little bit of brown. There's this brown here that's kind of an orangey brown. See, kind of a caramely color. So I think I'll use that color for his nose. And then after this dries too, I might come back in and add some gold paint to the top of it to make him have a little bit of sparkle on his nose. That's cute. And then I'm also going to paint his suspenders. I think I'll paint his suspenders red. I'll paint them red. And in this paint palette, I really like this end red. It's kind of a pinky red, like a real red. If you know Stampin' Up's Real Red. But I'm going to use this next one in. It's a little bit more cranberry. You can see there, it's a little darker. And it's my favorite. You can see because it has the biggest divot in it. I'm going to use that color for his suspenders, and they're going to be smoking hot red suspenders. There's one. There's two. Pretty easy. All right, now I need to do his shoes. I think I'm going to do his shoes probably about the same color I did his hat. So I'm going to pick up this pigment, which is why I grabbed his hat color. Paint his little shoes. Or boots. And then add a bit more color there. And then I think he needs some rosy cheeks. But to do that, I'm going to use a color pencil. I'm going to make sure it's dry. It's not quite dry. I'm going to wait till that paper is good and dry before I start using color pencil on it. But, isn't he cute? Oh, he's so handsome. He's just charming. Charming, charming. So I'm going to come in again on these red suspenders. I want them to really be red, really punchy. And I'm going to add another layer of paint, and that's just going to build up the intensity of the color and make them really stand out. They're going to dry back a little bit, but I'd really love them to stay this shiny red. So what I might do is use the jelly glaze pen over them and make them shiny. We'll see. I also want to paint his button. Let's see. Where are my watercolors? Here they are. So this is the Coliro Pearl Colors in the gold and silver color palette. And I forget I'm really zoomed in, so... And then this is what the palettes look like. This is the one my friend Gabby gave to me. Thank you, Gabby. And I'm going to grab probably this top middle. It's Inca Gold. I'm going to use this for his button, and these take a little bit of work to activate, but once you do, see, it's just dreamy. So I'm going to paint his little pant button Inca gold. So cute. I can add a little bit of this to his nose too. So fun. And that's enough gold on this guy. And now maybe I can color his cheeks. So I'm going to use, this is a Prismacolor in the color Rose, blush pink. Sorry, it's called blush pink. PC 928. And all I'm going to do is just start making a really light circle with the pencil. Just barely touching the paper at all. So you can get a pink cheek. Don't all snowmen have pink cheeks? And this side, because you don't see all of it, you need to start with a straight line and then kind of make a half circle. So his rosy cheek is just peeking up behind his nose. Cute, 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 cute. All right. I love it. I'm going to add a little bit more paint to his arms and to the brown buttons, and maybe a little bit down here on his shoes, just to give a little more depth. So you can always go back after it dries and add a little bit more. I think that's one of the beautiful things about watercolor, is you can layer and get a lot of built up color just by adding another layer or two. There's that. I'm just going to add a little bit more down here on the bottom side of these buttons. And his little arms. And then I'm going to add also a little bit to the shoes. I'm going to use the same paint, this same blackish brown color. In fact, I might add just a smidge more black to it. Use that. There we go. And he is done. He is ready to be added to a card. You could die cut him. You could stamp around the outside edges of him. You can add details to him by stamping on some of the interest stamps that I like to use on his pants or his scarf. And to do that, you might want to mask off the edge of his pants so that you're not over stamping onto the background. You could stamp snowflakes around him. You could do all kinds of things with him. So I hope you have enjoyed this quick painting lesson, and thank you so much for the request, Kelly. And I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day and a good week ahead. Thanks for watching. Bye.